Hello, everyone. Welcome to Made to Dream. I'm your host, Maya Chanel, and here we share stories from women around the world to inspire, empower, and encourage women and young girls to dream without limitations. Today, I have the ultimate pleasure of speaking with Ms. Joanna Ziemlewski, and she is a transformational coach and photographer. So I'm so excited to get to know so much more about her, hear how she is inspiring women and change around the world. So, hi, Joanna. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, sharing your story with our audience, and just being an inspiration and light to others. So, I want to give you the chance to allow the audience to know a little bit more about you and what you do.
Yes, I am a high performance coach for women. I mainly work with women entrepreneurs. And what we do is we work on them, helping them make more money, more impact, and really finding more fulfillment in life. Ironically, I started out as an engineer. So I
My
always
mom did too.
I always had that problem solving capability and looking for new ways to innovate. And,
Mhm,
people ask me all the time, how in the world did you go from engineering to coaching, high performance coaching? I'm
mhm,
like, it's actually really the same thing. The difference is
mhm.
that we're applying it to the human mind. And so
Right.
still looking to problem solve. We're still looking to optimize the mind, get it to perform at its peak, and
Mhm.
just to drive the results that we're going after.
Oh my
And
God, Joanna, I think, oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go
oh
ahead,
yeah,
keep going.
no. And then along the way, I also just rediscovered my love for photography. I had taken a course in college, and it had been about, I think, 10 or 15 years since I had picked up a camera. And it was finally around the time where digital cameras
Mhm.
started picking up. And I said, I'm going to buy one. I'm going to take this up for me. And what I didn't realize was how much of an impact that would have on me and on my clients, because I
Mhm.
discovered a photographer that was actually doing what I do with high performance coaching with her camera. And
Wow.
I learned as much as I could from her. And then I started applying the same concepts with my clients, because what we don't realize is how we use our body
Mhm.
is how we affect our mind. And then from there, where our behaviors go, the results that we get, everything. And so by me actually posing people in front of my camera and helping them get beyond the fear of being seen, which so many women have, that's another rabbit hole we can go down of actually being
Yes.
seen. Um, just getting their bodies into position, all of a sudden these different emotions, these different thoughts started going through their bodies, and I realized what a powerful tool photography was. And so then I added that into the mix. So that's what I do now. I don't do as much photography anymore. It's mainly the high performance coaching, but all of it just keeps going back to the same thing, which is really, how do we perform at our best? How do we reach those peak results that we know that we're capable of?
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm already going to love this conversation because my audience already knows that I am like a mindset junkie. I constantly like am working on my mindset, even though I feel like I'm in a great place. I feel like there's always ways to grow within yourself, within your mindset, because once you have built this like steel barrier around your mindset, I feel like, it's an intangible concept, but yeah, once you've built this steel barrier where no one can literally like sway you from feeling your power, feeling your confidence, I feel like, oh my God, you can reach so many levels and so many different heights. So, before we get into that, I want to know a little more about what made you change from engineering to what you're doing now. Because I know engineering is a successful career. So, what made you say, okay, I'm not, this is not part of my journey anymore. I feel like I need to take a step to a new journey. What made you make that decision?
So when I was working as an engineer, there was a part of me that, of course, wanted more. It was that growth side that just, I know I'm here for a purpose. I know that I'm here to serve in some way. And so I
Hmm.
knew that part of that path would be to start a business and to run my own business.
Hmm.
I went to a seminar, and it was all just, again, to reach that peak performance for myself, to get over any blocks that I had. But what I didn't realize was I wasn't really there in order to work on my business. The
Hmm.
reason I was there was because I was overcoming my trauma and the rock bottom that I had hit at the time that I just wasn't acknowledging. And I
Hmm.
didn't realize how much of what I had been through the previous 4 years of undergoing two tragedies within my family. I lost my sister and my father almost within exactly a year of each other.
Wow.
And one was a crime and the other one was just a freak accident. And so both were
Mhm.
completely unexpected. But having that trauma, especially right when I was starting out my career, I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't realize how it was showing up, how it was affecting
Mhm.
everything, and how it was also affecting my confidence level. And
Mhm.
so when I was at the seminar, I really helped change the story. I helped let go of the trauma that I had been carrying for 4 years at that point.
Mhm.
And when I left, it was like I was a completely different person. People didn't even recognize me. They're like, Joanna, you're like a neon light walking into the room. What in the world happened to you?
Mhm.
And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, I feel like I just came home. This is the work that I need to do. More people need to know that there's a path out that they did not realize exists, because no one ever tells you, like, once you've gone through any sort of trauma,
Mhm.
that guess what, you can actually heal and you can create life again for yourself.
Right.
You don't have to live with it. It's always, trying to work through it day by day. And yeah, to some extent there is that, but there's also this possibility of, hey, I can actually work through this, let it go, but still use the story and maybe what happened to you in a way that serves you versus use you in order
Mhm.
to stay in that pain. So that one event is what was a tipping point for me. I had no idea coaching existed before then. And
Mhm.
from there, I just kind of decided, I said, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to put it out there. And within a few years, I had my NLP certification. I had another coach training that I did. I've done all of Tony Robbins' leadership trainings. So it just all started to kind of take its path. And the thing is the path is never complete,
Mhm.
because it wasn't until 5 or 6 years later that I discovered the photography. And then it
Mhm.
opened up a whole other layer. And so it's, the one thing we need to remember is that there is no like once and done type of a path here, is that it's
Right.
always evolving. It's like layers of the onion that just keep going. And at some, we're always transitioning, we're always transforming, we're always reaching that next level. So
Right. No, definitely. I totally agree because like we talked about earlier, if the audience members, if you're listening in, me and Joanna, we talked about how, my audience is very wide verse, women of all ages, just because our journeys never end, or there's no age to when they can begin as well. And there's no limit on how many journeys you're going to have in life. So I'm a firm believer of that. And I just resonate so well with what you just said. I love what you said about how, we take these tragedies and we turn them into something great. We turn them into something that can help us help others. And I think, especially with women, we go through these phases where we're holding up our image for society, or because we're supposed to be so strong and we're supposed to not cry and be emotional. So it's like we try so hard to hide things from the world that we try to hide them from ourselves too. And inevitably, it hurts us in return. So let's talk about how you said women use their body for different purposes and different power.
yes. So anytime you want to start to take control of the thoughts, is the first thing that it starts with is just having the awareness of what's going on. I was just telling the story this morning to a friend how I took a yoga class a couple of years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
it was a yin yoga class, and the instructor started off with, there are times when you are going to feel discomfort. Now, here's the thing with discomfort: discomfort does not mean stop,
Right.
discomfort means observe.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime you're going through that discomfort, or even if you're going through something that's going well, you observe the thought, observe what's going on. What are the words that are going inside your head? What are you saying
Mm-hmm.
to yourself? What are you focusing on? How are you using your body? How are you standing? How are you breathing? Are you slumped? Are you standing tall? And observe all of those little things. And what we don't realize is that subconsciously we have a strategy for all of this. So we have a
Mm-hmm.
strategy for when we go into hopelessness. We have a strategy for when we go into confidence, when we go
Mm-hmm.
into fear. And we can, when we learn what those strategies are, we can actually start to control them. So one example I can tell you of what I do in my photo sessions. So when I have a client come to me, many times these women have not been in front of the camera before. They always tell me the same thing. I'm not photogenic. I need to lose 20 pounds. They tell me everything that's not good enough about themselves.
Right. And it's like, why do you feel that way about yourself?
Exactly. And then they tell me, I start to ask them questions about, what do you want to experience? How do you want your final photographs to look? And so I start to get those answers. But really what I know is, I know that she wants to be seen. She wants to finally feel like I'm understood, I'm seen,
Mm-hmm.
people accept me for who I am, whatever
Mm-hmm.
form that is. And the thing is that there really is no standard of beauty. Every
Right.
single one of us has our own unique beauty in some way. And so I'm never
Mm-hmm.
trying to make her fit into some sort of standard or form or anything. I'm always
Mm-hmm.
working with what she wants to be, with what she brings with me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm doing is I'm actually shifting her into different poses, into different positions. But the very first pose that I start out with every single client, is what I call the power pose. And I
Mm-hmm.
tell her, stand with your feet hip width apart, take your hands, put them up on your waist, roll your shoulders back, lift your chin up
Mm-hmm.
nice and tall. Give me an exhale, push that chin forward, and all of a sudden she feels all that confidence and all that power just flowing through her
Mm-hmm.
body, all the way from her feet, all the way up to her shoulders and to her head. And I
Mm-hmm.
immediately just put her into that confident state without her even knowing. And so
Mm-hmm.
I can ask you, when you are feeling like something is hopeless, how are you breathing? Is it
Mm-hmm.
shallow? Is it deep? Are you moving your body quickly or slowly? Are you
Right.
standing tall or are you slumped over? Chances are you're probably like this. You feel like everything is going against you. Everything's
Mm-hmm.
probably moving slower. But now think about when you're excited about something, right? You're standing
Right.
tall. You may even be jumping up and down. Everything is moving faster. It's like boom, 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 right? Everything is just flowing
Mm-hmm.
into place. Well, by actually starting with, again, being aware of the thoughts, knowing
Mm-hmm.
what to say to yourself, shifting your body into the position that you want to be in for whatever state that is, whether it's love,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's joy, gratitude, excitement, confidence and courage, whatever that is for you. Just knowing how to get into those states. Another great way is to put on that one song that brings it out in you. That will usually
Mm-hmm.
do it in 2 or 3 minutes like that. And then before you know it, you're behaving differently, right? And so that's
Mm-hmm.
how we start to get different results. And so, start to create that awareness in your body and feel
Mm-hmm.
where the feeling is, because it's not always in the same place. Some feelings are here in your heart, some are in your gut,
Right.
some are in your head. So you have
Mm-hmm.
to start to notice where they live.
Right, most definitely. Everyone's different, so you have to essentially study yourself. You have to study yourself to know what you enjoy, what you like in this world, and to essentially find self-love within yourself. I love how you talked about that and how everyone's different. Everyone has their different views on everything. Especially, experiencing tragedy and coming out of it to bring positivity to it. A lot of that has to do with your mindset. And I want to talk a little bit more about how you were able to come and form a stronger mindset to build what you have now to be able to help others.
Yeah. And I'm going to be honest, like I said in the beginning, this is not a once and done journey. I still
Right.
get tested every single day. And the
Mm-hmm.
answer does not lie in, I'm never going to feel this again. It's when
Mm-hmm.
you do feel it, how quickly can you take back control or bounce back? And so it's
Mm-hmm.
not about getting knocked down, it's about how fast you can get back up. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's, one of the very first things that I really needed to do was look back at my successes in life. Especially, this is especially for women, how imposter syndrome shows up is
Mm-hmm.
you never count the things that work well, but oh,
Right.
when something does not work out, when you are a failure at something, you don't fail at something, you are a failure at something, right? This is what we tell ourselves.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's when it starts to snowball in the completely wrong direction. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
really taking inventory of your skills, your talents, your successes, and it doesn't matter how big they are. This is not about, winning the Nobel Prize. This is about,
Mm-hmm.
I got my kid out of bed and dressed within 5 minutes today. Like, that is a win, especially now.
Right. No, it's the little things that counts because it's like sometimes like I myself used to be like super results driven. Like I mean like if it didn't happen the way I expected it to happen, I was like, "Oh my God, like I'm going to fail." But then I didn't look at it as if like, wow, I really just accomplished that. And even though it's not like where I want to be yet, I really did make progress. I made a huge accomplishment, something that I wasn't able to do yesterday. And it's like, I think sometimes we're looking too much at the bigger picture rather than enjoying the journey and enjoying those small accomplishments along that journey to that bigger picture, to that bigger goal.
Absolutely. And it comes down to all have things that we value. They're emotional states
Mm-hmm.
that we value. You can say that I value money or cars or anything, but not really. What you're valuing is what those money and cars and everything is going to get you, which is goes back to
Right.
the emotional state. So when you can
Mm-hmm.
figure out what you value most in life, is it love? Is it peace? Is it adventure? You know what your top value and mine could be completely different, and that's why we live
Mm-hmm.
completely different lives. If you value
Right.
adventure and I value certainty, we're not going to be anywhere near the same path in life, right? We're going to go
Right.
completely different. And there's no right
Mm-hmm.
or wrong answer to what you value.
Mm-hmm.
But what you need to do is you need to know what your top values are. And then the
Mm-hmm.
ones that you want to feel more often, you have to make those as easy as possible. And the
Mm-hmm.
ones that you're trying to avoid, that you don't want to feel, make those as difficult as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we do is we do the reverse. We make
Mm-hmm.
the ones we want to feel difficult and the bad ones so easy that boom, it's like one little thing happens first thing in the morning, my whole day is ruined, which is such,
Right.
right? Was it
Like,
really
how is
the
it so
entire day?
easy to get you upset and down rather than to get you happy with things that you're accomplishing? Like,
Yeah.
that's wild.
Yeah, so that one of the things I work on with my clients is, okay, let's make those bad ones like a NASA
Mm-hmm.
style checklist. That, okay,
Mm-hmm.
the most ridiculous things have to happen in order for me to feel it. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't times for you to feel it, right? So we're not making
Right.
it completely impossible. We're just saying that, okay,
Mm-hmm.
when is it appropriate for me to actually really take on these emotions and understand that
Mm-hmm.
they're there to serve me? Because there's bad emotions are not bad. They're there for
No.
a reason. They're there to show, they serve as a GPS essentially, and to show us,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you're going down the wrong path, or something's not right here. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not a matter of it being right or wrong, but when we stay there and we live our life through those emotions that we're trying to avoid, that's
Mm-hmm.
a recipe for disaster. That's not where we want to be. So that's
No,
when we want,
definitely.
in the day to day, we want to make those difficult, and we want to make that peace, that love, that joy, that laughter, that playfulness. Those are the ones we want to feel. And so that's where we
Mm-hmm.
need to make it easy. So I feel love today because I smiled at a stranger. I feel love
Right.
today because I had a beautiful cup of tea that I just love, right? And just
Mm-hmm.
having like those little moments for yourself and making it super easy. The more you do that, the easier life becomes. The easier life becomes, the more you start to challenge yourself and to start to put yourself out there in situations where you have that discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
And again, what are your rules for discomfort? What is the meaning that you're giving it? Is it,
Mm-hmm.
oh no, I have to stop because this is painful? Or is it, okay, I just need to breathe through this and work my way through it slowly? Or
Right.
maybe
Most
just
definitely.
dive right
Oh,
in, again, depending on what your top value is.
no, that most definitely, I totally agree because it's like if we start our days out and then literally one thing throws us off for the entire day, how are we going to be able to accomplish something to make us feel better if we're going to let this bad feeling hinder us for it throughout the entire day? Some people even the entire week. So
Yeah.
it's like, why let your bad emotions stop you from making progress?
Yeah. And I tell my clients as well, I'm like, look, the problem is not the fact that you're feeling it,
Hmm.
but you need to put a time limit on it,
Yeah.
especially if you have deadlines, because
Hmm.
deadlines do not allow for you to go on for the rest next month and to feel that. You need to say, okay, I'm going to
Right.
give myself a day, or I'm going to give myself an hour, or I'm going to give myself 15 minutes. And
Hmm.
you cry it out, you go into whatever mode you need to do, you feel it till its fullest, and then you let it go.
Hmm. Most
And
definitely. So
that's the part people don't want to do.
I know it's hard because it's like it's being upset at yourself or experiencing bad emotions is easy, and it's like hard to sit here and say, "Oh my God, I'm so happy for myself," just because you feel like your accomplishments aren't big enough, but who's to say that, you know, the small accomplishments aren't leading to that bigger accomplishment. So I think it's like we have to change our mind and change our perspective when we look at things and see it in a different way than what we're essentially expressing and internalizing it as. So what would you say would be your most, let's see, impactful lesson that you've learned along your entrepreneurial journey so far?
I would say it's really hit me this year, and that is that your personality is not fixed.
Mm-hmm.
That and I the metaphor that I can use for it is your personality is like silly putty. It's not a plastic cup, it's like silly putty. You can transform it anytime, and it's
Mm-hmm.
fluid, and it as you go through life and you go through different experiences, your personality can change as well. When it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, it's because there's some sort of resistance in you that you keep holding on to, which is what's keeping you stuck where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of also why you feel like your personality may be stuck is because of what has been imposed on you from others, whether it's from
Mm-hmm.
childhood,
Right.
parents, siblings, teachers, religious figures, whomever that was. They
Mm-hmm.
indoctrinated you with a certain set of values, beliefs, and an identity of who you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you reevaluate that identity every couple of years,
Right.
you're going to be stuck where you're at, and you are never going to reach the next level because your identity needs to evolve into who you need to be at that next level.
Mm-hmm.
And who you are now may be enough to start to reach there, but in order to actually get there and to sustain it, you are going
Mm-hmm.
to have to then shift your values, shift your identity. And it doesn't mean it's not a bad thing. It just
Mm-hmm.
means that, like, as we go through life, we progress, we grow, we evolve. And it's having to look consistently at our beliefs and asking yourself, is this still true?
Mm-hmm.
Was this mine to believe in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Where did it come from? Because many times, I'm going to say probably a good 75 to 80% of the time, it probably didn't come from you.
Right.
And you don't even realize it.
Right.
Same thing
And
with a
I
honey.
always,
Yeah,
yeah, I always say you have the ability to make something true or to make it false. If someone sits here and tells you, oh, you're going to be a bank robber, you have the ability to make that true or not because that person is not literally holding puppet strings and making you go to rob a bank. You have to do that yourself, but it's up to you to take, you know, that person's projection onto you and make it your reality.
absolutely. And it could work in a positive way as well. If
Hmm.
you have a mentor or a boss that truly believes in you and they believe more
Definitely.
than you do in yourself, that can work in a
Hmm.
positive way. But eventually, you're going to have to step into that identity of who they
Hmm.
see that you can be. Um,
Right.
when we started the conversation and you mentioned, your audience has transitioned into older women now.
Hmm.
I was just thinking, I'm like, what a beautiful time that we live in where this is happening, because 20, 30, 40 years ago, that wouldn't have happened. Women
Right.
were told that this is your role, and you don't
Hmm.
leave that role, you stay in that role. But now, because of how life has evolved and changed, whether it's through divorce, whether it's through just reaching that second or third stage of life where the kids are now out of the house and you're rediscovering
Right.
yourself, it's okay now. And women didn't have that
Hmm.
permission before. So I
Right.
think it's a really beautiful transformational time that we're living in right now, where we have the opportunity to do that. But we have to give ourselves permission, and we have to step into it, and we have to do it consistently and
Hmm.
regularly, where we're evaluating, is this still true? Because it could have
Right.
been true a year ago. It may have served you very well, but
Hmm.
where you're at now and where you're headed, that may no longer be the case. And that's what we
Right.
have to shift.
Right. Definitely thinking in the future tense. Like, I know my parents have always told me, you know, you need to surround yourself or and spend more time with people that you see taking you to where you want to be in the future. Not necessarily the people who were in your past. It's not to say you can't, you know, talk to people or be friends with people, but the people that you spend majority of your time needs to be
Yes.
where you're going and not where you left.
Absolutely. It's where you spend your time is who you become. So
Hmm. Most definitely. So if you had to say one thing to women and girls around the world to inspire them to just dream without limitations, what would it be?
You know, I would say one of the first questions that a mentor ever posed to me that was just like that aha moment, that question where it just hits you, was,
Mm-hmm.
if money was no object, what would you do? Or if you
Mm-hmm.
knew you could not fail,
Mm-hmm.
what would you do? Who would you be? And you know, just thinking about that question, it's like all of a sudden, if I knew I couldn't fail, it's like the skies just opened up and it was like, "Rah!" Like it was just like, it just got me thinking in a
The
completely
angels are
different way.
singing.
Exactly. And it wasn't long after that that I actually ended up at the seminar. So it was a really great question that I feel like was really at the start of my personal journey and my self growth and development. And I to this day I still think it's one of the most powerful questions that you can think about and you can answer, because when you think about that, then there is no limitation, and you really can step into who you really are, because you're not
Mhm.
judging yourself, right? You can't fail. There's no judgment there. It's a totally safe space for you to dream and to play and to think about, you know, what's possible. What is it that I really want? And
Mhm.
there's nothing there holding you back. And it's a beautiful state to be in. Um, and yeah, start from there.
I love it. I love it. And I bringing it back to when you said, you are you define yourself, and a lot of times when we're younger, we have someone define our life for us. But I think that's stepping into that space, asking yourself those questions, getting to know yourself, getting to define what you see as success, what you see as fulfillment within your life. I think that question will help so many women answer that for themselves. So thank you so much for that. I do want to give you the opportunity to allow the audience to know if they want to reach you for services, if they want to contact you, or just follow your journey, how can they do that?
Yep. So you can do it under my business name. It's SoulScaping. So it's soulscaping.com. And it's also SoulScaping on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. And also on my website, when you go there, there's a free training that I created, 7 power questions to help you overcome imposter syndrome. And that will actually get you started in that coaching journey. So I not only do I give you the questions, but I also recorded a coaching audio meditation that you can listen to, where it's me directly coaching you right through the process. It's
Mhm.
only 5, 6 minutes long. So you can put that on your phone. You could use it right before you have a big meeting or something important, or just when you feel like you need to step back into your confidence and you don't really like, you just need someone to guide you. So it's me being there directly right into your ears. And I'm just asking you the same questions that are written in the PDF download, and it will help you to step into that. So that's a free training on there. And I'm also on LinkedIn, so you can find me under my name or under Soulscaping.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, we thank you so much, Joanna, for sharing your light, your power, and your inspiration with us today. We thank everyone once again for tuning in. This is Made to Dream, and I'm your host, Maya Chanel. We'll see you next time.